Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. It is such a beautiful day because you know what? We are here once again. And we just need to give gratitude. I hope each one of you is doing your journaling. You're taking that time to pause, to do that self check in, to see how your life is going, if there's healing need to happen, if you're taking the time to heal, if you're reaching out to someone that could help you to go through the process of healing. We all go through different experiences, but all of these experiences, it helps us to grow and it helps us to evolve. And it helps us that we could tell our story to someone else and help that next individual on their path. We are here and we are beautiful light beings. Whatever you may be going through at this point in time, know that there is light within you and you can shine that light. Go within, find that light, and shine that light so that could help someone else in the world to see. This morning, we got such a very interesting topic and a very interesting individual too here this morning with us. And Gareth is here to help us to really and truly understand trauma, how we could work and heal trauma, also help us to understand the journey here in life and how we could really accept and live when we heal and forgive and we could able to go through life. Gareth, Spirit Bear, we just want to welcome you here this morning so you could share your journey with us.
Thank
I'm
you.
Karen
Greetings.
Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach and a co-author of Two ebooks with my sister Joan Williams. And this morning topic is A Road to Me, Spirit Bear. And Gareth would share his journey with us. And as I said before, help us to understand how we can really heal our trauma and go through life. Gareth, welcome once again to the show. Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I want to say good morning, but it's a good afternoon here. And wherever people may be watching this at this moment in time, just greetings. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure, real honor. Um, so, yeah, the subject is a real different and a real deep conversation to have. Um, but it's very, very important in the grand scheme of things as we go through this journey or blip in time we call life. It's important to understand certain things. So, yeah, obviously, the conversation, Karen, where would you like me to start? Because there's so many elements to
I know there's a lot of layers, right?
Truth is
Yes,
like the onion, is like the onion, that scenario of the
yes,
onion. There's a layer after layer after layer after layer.
right. There's a lot
Um,
of layers. But first, I would really like you to tell us more about your personal self because
mhm.
tell the audience who is Gareth Spirit Bear
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and what you
So,
do and what you do.
and what I do. Okay, that's
Yeah.
another interesting conversation. But yeah, obviously I can break that down into the various stages. So I would deem myself, Gareth, in this modern day, right here, right now, as just a simple man. Um, a simple man that has gone through a journey of experiences, traumas, lifetime of traumas, which inevitably I refer to them now as blessings, as an awakened soul. Whilst we're still stuck in the pre-programmed humanoid state of the matrix, the three-dimensional world, we kind of get stuck in those moments of trauma and we don't know how to sort of escape the pain and the feeling and everything else. So myself, through my initial levels of trauma, I was inherited gifts from spirit, which were to be a catalyst later on in my life right now to be able to aid other people on their journey through their own experiences of trauma. Um, I've done that for a number of years, different healing modalities where I've just given myself to people to heal them, without any financial gain, just because of my love for humanity and other souls on this journey. I was given these gifts. I've been given those gifts back to people in the same way I was given them. That's just the way. Um, when you have love and compassion and unconditional love for other humans, it's a real blessing when you see them come out of the other side of their tunnel, most definitely. Um, then there's the other side. I've gone from playing professional rugby to working in public sector sales, if you like, in the UK with IT and telecoms. And when I say public sector, it's kind of things like the National Health Service, police, government, educational sectors. And it strangely, without spirit works in a strange way, universe works in a strange way, I was paving a way forward without realizing what was happening along the way. So that journey was working alongside the healing that I was doing, because that was free. This was my life, this was my money, this is what I was earning. But I was building an awareness within those sectors of my spiritual attributes, as a way of showing compassion, showing understanding for when people they may present themselves in work life as work life stresses, which is what we would recognize in the unprogrammed world as work life stress. But we know there's more likely to be inner child issues that present themselves in our very essence as adults. Yeah. Whether they're conscious or subconscious, they are still things that sit with us through our adulthood, that have come from ancestral lineage or from the past experience as your own experience as a physical child in this lifetime. So, yeah, it just came naturally that I've now set up an organization called Bear Eagle. And Bear Eagle basically allows me to go into organizations to work with individuals, regardless whether it's an individual or whether it's deemed as a CEO, because they're still individuals at the end of the day. There has no label on an individual. An individual could be a celebrity, it can be someone who's homeless on the streets. We're still individuals. So the business is that. Yeah, the traumas that inherited my gifts gave me a journey in its own right, which I can touch base on if we can delve into that as much as you like. Then there's the business, and now we're writing a book about the whole experience as a coded message, if you like, for people that are going through trauma but don't have their voice to be able to express their emotional side to talk about it. That's what the book is about at the moment. So hopefully that's highlighting the different parameters of who Gareth is, or Spirit Bearer, but just touching on this sort of the outskirts of everything. We can delve in as deep as you want on any of those subjects.
So, tell me a little bit. Did you have to work on the mind to bring you to this point?
Yeah. So this is a really good question, because how we are as an individual, as a being walking this planet, is we're very much programmed in a way that our mind controls how we operate. That's the first thing. And it's when you go through trauma after trauma, or just ordinary life experiences, we get trapped in those moments of, and we're all guilty of it, even myself, of thinking too far in the past or thinking too far in the future. So those things control us. Those are the mind working with the mind. It's only when you start to see the past as the past and accept all of what the past was is the past, and you can't change any of that. That's the first thing. And then the future, you can't have a future unless you live in the present moment to plan your future. Every step that you live every day, right here and right now, is what paves your future. If you start trying to plan your future, well, you have to live in the present to be able to do that in the first place. Hopefully that explains. But yeah, most definitely, I went through that journey myself of constantly trying to analyze and constantly trying to find reason behind everybody's actions towards my journey, all of the impact that I've had, and always felt to blame other people. And it was always through my mind that I was kind of punishing myself on a day-to-day basis of everything that happened. It's only when you um, control how your mind works, because your mind controls how you work. When you take ownership of your mind and you actually control how your mind works rather than the other way around, then you're free of the shackles that it comes with, most definitely.
Wow. Someone is asking a question. Karen is asking a
Please.
question. Do you think without traumas in life that it makes us go within to release our gifts?
Without traumas or with traumas, did you say, sorry?
Do you think without traumas in life that
Hmm.
it makes us go within to release our gifts?
It's a really good question. So, through my own experience, it's basically been trauma related to bring me to my gifts. But there's so many people or beings that I know who are spiritually awakened that have found their gifts naturally without having physical trauma, or what they deem as physical trauma. How we deem physical trauma is a really another interesting subject, because one person's devastation of losing somebody close to them, it could be somebody who lost a job or their goldfish died. Everybody's trauma is different. So is whether you're conscious to whether it's a trauma that's brought that to the fore, or whether it's basically you were just, I know many mediums as an example that have come down through ancestral lineage of mediums. So they've not necessarily gone through a trauma to inherit their gifts. You understand? But as a rule, of the people that I know and people that I'm associated with, it's normally come through trauma, most definitely.
Wow.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
question. Good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. How to deal with triggers when it comes up?
That's another. Is this a question that's come through, or is this just one of your own, Karen?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. How to deal with triggers?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
to
yeah,
deal
yeah.
with
So,
triggers when it comes up? Because many times, what normally happen with people is that things would trigger you.
yeah, yeah,
And how can someone deal with that trigger? Because when the trigger comes up, that means something needs to heal,
yeah, yeah. Most
right?
definitely.
So how
Yeah, yeah.
can someone deal with a trigger?
Right. Okay. So this again, even myself and like the people on your group right now watching this podcast, they won't all necessarily know unless it's people that are associated with myself watching this. Um, and I've got no problem with sharing this as long as you don't mind. Going
Right?
back in December, yeah, going back in December, and bearing in mind I've gone through many years of healing, many years of um, cutting cords, many years of undoing all of the stuff that caused my triggers, if you like, all of the traumas that led me to an attempted suicide years ago, all of my triggers that have brought this healing modalities my way. And even as I've evolved as a spiritual being, if you like, I've even still witnessed that I've had to learn from triggers, not necessarily, but it was triggers. I had a stroke in December. You know that, Karen, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was hospitalized for weeks, and it was a trigger for me because I hadn't learned. This is the thing. I'll get to it in a minute. I hadn't learned a certain thing, and spirit flipped a switch, made me slow down, hospitalized me to be able to go through that process of rawness. And it's uncomfortable, but triggers are there for a reason. Triggers are, you make, let's use it as a relationship perspective. A relationship, if you continually end up with the same kind of experiences in a relationship status, whether it's the same relationship that you keep stop starting, or whether it's a different relationships that you keep ending up with the same patterns, you should see the red flags from the first experience. And these triggers should identify in your own, going back to this mind thing again, they should, in the grand scheme of the matrix, you should identify that these things are triggers. However, people don't because they haven't learned their lessons. And they are lessons. Triggers I refer to as lessons. And if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to keep getting that lesson until you've learned it. So even with my experience, that stroke was a massive lesson. And many lessons through my life have been repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And I've learned from those ones, but this one with my stroke was definitely, I was still learning. So I actually put my own methodology into my own practice. I basically practice what I preach. You have to learn, you have to go through that rawness and the pain to cut those things out of your life, and lessons or blessings, I call them blessings because in essence they are like, I refer to it in my book as a beautiful destruction because it feels like you've got everything going for you, and then boosh, the rug's pulled and you drop to your ass, and then you have to start again. So it is a beautiful destruction. It's at that point whether those triggers or lessons are learned and you understand what they were, or you just do the same thing again. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Good
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Just listening to you, because many times people would ask the question, that
Hmm.
person makes me really upset, you
Hmm.
know. But
Yeah.
at, as you said, we have to identify what is making us upset.
Exactly, but there's also other sides to that as well. It's other triggers like when you allow your mind to control how you think. When you're in your mind all the time thinking of things too much or over analyzing or trying to find reason behind things that what people do. Another one is a good example of triggers. People get triggered by, oh, so and so is talking about me, so and so is gossiping about me, so and so is being horrible about me. This is a real harsh, this is a real harsh point for me to make, but to the grander audience of who's watching this, if somebody is talking about you, the best thing for you to deal with this is be of the knowing it's not your business. So
Love that.
it's not it's not your
Yes, that is so true what Spirit Bear was saying.
it's not your business at the end of the day. If
Absolutely.
somebody wants to be horrible to you, if somebody wants to talk about you, is basically you can see it as a number of things. Well, firstly, it's not your business. Secondly, they are uncomfortable that you're so comfortable in your own body, right? That's another thing. And take flattery out of it. If they're talking about you, it's because you're interested to them, most definitely. But it's definitely not your business.
Absolutely.
Why? Why waste the energy on it? So it's,
So true.
yeah.
I'm so happy that you bring up that point, because I normally tell people all the time, how somebody
Oh,
feel about you, that's
sorry,
not you.
the sound went then. Sorry, what was that? Sorry, say that again.
Yes, I said I normally tell people all the time, how
Uh-huh.
someone feel about you, that's not you. That's their opinion about you.
Truth.
You know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and if you allow that person opinion to really affect you, then you are leaning to that person energy.
Exactly. You're feeding any attention is attention. So if you're reacting, you're giving them the energy they need, and
Absolutely.
they feed off of that. It's like a blood sucking exercise. It's
Yeah,
kind of,
it
if you
is.
give them what you want, they're going to take more of it, and it just keep going back and forth, which is no good. Which is no
Absolutely.
good. Yeah, yeah.
And
Cut it. Cut
you're speaking there now, and a lot of times, if somebody knows that's your pressure point, they're
it.
gonna keep plugging it away.
Truth.
Once
Exactly.
they know your pressure point, they're gonna keep attacking that pressure point all the
Exactly.
time because they know that is
Exactly.
what is gonna trigger you and makes you
Exactly.
uncomfortable.
Exactly. Exactly. And the more we keep doing that, it just adds to our stress levels. It adds to our anxiety, which is going back to the mind situation again.
Yep.
Yeah. Let it
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, yeah. And the flip side to that too is that if you realize that this person is telling you something and it's triggering you off, we go back to
Hmm.
what you said before. That is a
Hmm.
part of you that needs to heal.
Exactly. And
So
there's a part of you that needs to heal, but the way that
yeah,
they're doing it, it also mirrors exactly what they need to heal as well. Right. So.
absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Wow,
so
this is good.
when people yeah when people are mean to us or abusive to us or physically violent towards us, is a reflection of their own stuff that they need to deal with in their own being. So this goes to the next part of forgiveness.
Right, 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 right,
whilst
right.
a lot of people, and if you don't mind me jumping straight onto that, but is whilst a lot of people will be what forgiveness after somebody's been horrible, but again, that's just a pre-programmed humanoid status. We don't like to seek forgiveness out of wrongdoings of other people, but the forgiveness is for yourself.
Right.
So you're forgiving yourself to allow that to happen to you. You're not necessarily forgiving them in the grand scheme of things. You're forgiving yourself for allowing that to happen and allowing you to feel how you feel. You're giving yourself the forgiveness to be free of what's just happened. That's the best way to free yourself from it. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. My next question to you.
Hmm.
Before we incarnate, do we choose our parents to come back? Do we choose a particular family to born into that family for healing, either healing the family or healing ourselves?
Ooh, good question. You've got some good. Ooh, Karen, what are you on today? You've had too many Weetabix. um, it's a real good question again, and it's basically I'm of the belief that we do choose to come at that moment in time for whatever the reason, and normally those reasons are because we have lessons to learn, and it is in that moment of time that we come back to learn those lessons. Damn, my lessons were horrendous. I must have been terrible in a previous life. So, and yeah, the carousel of things, but I totally, yes, I do agree that that's why we come back. We choose the moment in time, the family. Sometimes it's also slightly questionable that we end up leaving the family. Even my situation, I left home at 15. I left home at 15, and I've not seen or connected with my family in this lifetime. So, whilst I chose to come back, it probably wasn't entirely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But equally, it was the right thing to do. But goes back to that the onion situation of layers. There are layers and layers and layers. But also, I refer to as many people do also refer to our very essence as being like a tree. Yeah, that when we're rooted real deep, when we're solid and strong and stand upright, we also are okay to let go of things that no longer serve us in order to grow. Sometimes that comes with friendships, it comes with family, it comes with a number of things, but it's okay to let go in order to grow. So, granted, yeah, that's a good
Wow.
question. Good question.
Good.
Yeah,
My next question now to you.
yeah. Yeah,
My
go
next
on.
question. My next question to you is that do we have soul family and the biological family?
Mhm.
And tell us a little bit more depth about a soul family.
Okay, yes, that's another good one. Obviously, we have the blood family, which is what we're born into in this lifetime. Um, so that can be also connected at a soul level, most definitely, you know, because you have your real close relationship with your sister, blood, blood family, right? Blood family, but you're also soul connected, most
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
But as a rule, as a whole, typically blood family is blood family, and most people, whether you're awakened or not, they go through life loving their blood family. When you become more soul aligned, if you like, or awakened to the other part of your being, not just this vessel, your soul within, you then do become connected with kindred souls, people on the same trajectory, same journey, people that understand these inner depths of the healing process. They then also show, like myself, who I'm on my soul journey, they show unconditional love, and you can replicate each other's feelings and vibes. You just vibe off of each other without any expectation, you know. And yeah, there's more depth to it than this, but so deep. You can go real deep with this. And yeah, soul family. I have soul family all over the world, and it's kind of um, I can turn to them at any point, and they will never ever turn me away from.
Yes.
They will also speak their truth because they can,
Yes.
whereas your blood family may not necessarily be awake to speak their truth. They may just speak, but without any depth or understanding of what you're feeling or how to feel back, vice versa. But the soul connection is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's friends, brothers, sisters, soul brothers, soul sisters, these sort of things. You have an inner depth and understanding of each other's awareness. It's
Yes.
beautiful,
Yeah.
totally beautiful.
That's absolutely true what you're saying there, because
Hmm.
we have our soul family and we have our biological family. And a lot
Hmm.
of times you find that you don't get along with your biological family,
Hmm.
but you get along so good with your soul family.
Well, where do you think I've never really analysed this until you've now mentioned that. Where do you think the saying probably comes from? You can't choose. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There's obviously a reason behind that very statement, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in some regards, we do get along with our family. You know,
Yeah.
you especially, and many people.
Yeah.
Myself, different experience. I chose that journey when I came, when I sort of went through the spiritual realms of like the online shopping cart. I think I want to go to that family. Yeah, wrong decision. But it was definitely a learning process for me on this journey right now. But I chose to then let them go, to develop and grow what I needed to do, to learn my lessons on this plane, to be able to help myself, to be able to help other people. Most definitely.
How can we cut cords?
Aha, that's another one, right? So do people, so firstly, I don't know whether you want to explain your definition of what chords are before I answer it,
Okay,
because would people necessarily know what chords are?
okay,
Is
like
another thing.
attachment to a relationship that you
Hmm.
had before is like removing yourself completely out from that relationship because that
Yeah,
relationship is no more, and
yeah,
removing yourself. How can someone really remove themselves out from that relationship? Because many
right.
times we leave a relationship, but
Hmm.
mentally we are still there,
Exactly, exactly. Right.
right? Mentally we are still
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship. We may
Exactly.
not be physically, but mentally we are still in that relationship. How can we remove ourselves from that relationship mentally, spiritually, and physically?
Right. So mentally, firstly, it's a pain, it can be a painful process, and one that people find it hard because they're drawn with the emotional element of it. You know,
Mhm.
it can be a really hard process to. Um, so you know, when you go through, whether it's a breakup, whether it's an amicable breakup, whether it's a long-term relationship, whether it's a short-term relationship but full of intensity, you know, there's different avenues of that. A relationship can be just family relationship. It can be a loved one, that you're intimate relationships, you know, these sort of things. Letting go is where you basically, the cord, I'll get to the cord thing in a minute, but the mind part of it, it's when you allow yourself to free yourself from the emotional connection from it. And if there's been, I relate this to, again, to the growth side of things, that sometimes people are meant to come to you, whether it's a relationship, for a reason. They're meant to be with you for a duration of time and not necessarily for all of time. And it can be hard to let go of that attachment if you're not aware, that you're okay to let go of it. But once you let go of it, you have to take ownership for your own self-awareness and your own self-love, and say, I need to focus on me. And it should always be on your journey anyway. Your first priority is always you first. You can't give to somebody else if you're filling, like working from a half empty cup, right? Yeah, you can't do that. If then there's the other side, which is the attachmental side, when we go to the spiritual elements of it, we look at these connections with other souls, individuals, people in the vessel, but they are attached as cords. And there are exercises. I'm more than happy to, not right here, right now, because we're obviously limited on time, but if any of your viewers want to reach out, I'm more than happy to go through a process and educate them how to cut cords of past attachmental relationships that they just, maybe they've moved on 3 4 years, and they just still can't stop thinking of their ex-partner. um, I'm happy to sort of go through that with them to be able to cut these cords. But in essence, right here, right now, there's if you were in a state of meditation, and you want to sort of cut the cords, you physically see the connection as a physical cord, and then you're basically pulling it, and letting it go to the earth. Right, that's one of the processes that you can go down. You can cut the cords. You can visualize. This is where the mind, or the inner mind, is a powerful thing. When you use the imagination that you have, you can visualize these cords being removed and taken from you. And every time they're taken from you, they are a connection to the person that you're trying to be released of. You can get rid of them. There are more depths to that again, but again, we don't have much time to do that. But we
I
can do that at any point. Yeah, I'm happy to go through that with anybody at any point. As I said, individually, I don't charge people. I would be more than happy to help anybody if they want to come and reach out to me. I'm happy to help them on that journey if they need to release themselves. Um, Most definitely. But there's, yeah, the physical, the mind. Definitely, you need to take ownership for yourself, and just if they contact you, let it go, don't respond. Again, it goes back to that trigger point again. That's what that is. And the cords, visualize them being pulled off or cut, and let them go into the earth. And that's the emotional and the spiritual side being done with the cords being cut as well. So that's one of the simple processes, which is really easy to do, really easy to do. Um, but there's more depth to it, so I probably need to spend a bit of time explaining.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much for getting in a little bit of depth with the cord cutting.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's
Um,
fine.
my next question to you is that
Hmm.
sometimes someone is going through a spiritual awakening, right?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes they could feel so lost.
Hmm.
They could feel as though they're in this very dark place, the dark night of the soul, they would call it, right?
Hmm.
How can someone start to work on themselves in that space?
Okay, so firstly, when you go through your awakening, not many people identify that at that moment in time. They just go through these rawness of emotions, and some identify it straight away if they've already sort of tuned into certain elements. But I would say a really large majority of people wouldn't necessarily know it's an awakening at that moment in time. It's only when you start going further down down the roads of your journey that you identify that it's actually a spiritual awakening. Um, so once you've, yeah, it can be really raw and it can be really, really painful to actually go because you just don't know what you don't know how to deal with the emotions that present themselves, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
tough time. It's a tough time. You so my first thing that I would recommend to anybody that feels firstly that they may have started an awakening journey is to not try to overthink it, not to try and find reason behind why they're feeling how they're feeling. Try to take up meditation first. Meditation is a beautiful way just to control your inner self, first and foremost. Um, it's a way of allowing you to breathe through the experiences that you're just about to embark on. Um, go to seek somebody that can guide you on your
Right.
spiritual awakening.
Yes.
Somebody that can be a number of people. That can be a number of healers in different modalities, however they present themselves. Um, just somebody who may be awake. Well, somebody I would recommend who is awake, a soul brother or sister who is already on their journey and able to guide you through the process without um, punishing yourself through the feelings that you're feeling, because as I said, it can be real deep and painful. Um, yeah, there's a number of things, but meditation is a key part of as you evolve, is a very key part of your day to day, getting yourself in tip top shape to face the day. So it's definitely one of the things I would always recommend, and one of the things I do through my business is learning breathworks and meditation. Um, that controls a lot of the feelings that you get come through, most definitely. But yeah, definitely seek guidance from, it can be anybody, Reiki Master, it can be a medium, it can be some sort of clairvoyant, however, a shaman, whatever it is,
Someone
just
like you. Someone like you.
someone like me, yes, someone like me or yourself, someone like you, just somebody who cares, somebody who has unconditional love and shows it expressively, that is
Yeah.
willing to sit you down and say, it's okay, tell me what you're feeling, and then we'll talk about it. That's it. It doesn't have to be really somebody awakened, just somebody who has care for people, right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Because many times over the years, what I have really discovered with people is that when people are going through spiritual awakening, because they
Mm-hmm.
are so confused,
Uh-huh.
sometimes they become addicts, you know. because they don't understand the spiritual awakening process.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
they turn to something to numb,
Yeah.
that part of them.
True.
Some people even get locked up in psychiatric wards, you know. But it's a spiritual awakening is happening with that individual, you know.
Hmm.
But I feel that there should be more of this being discussed for
Hmm.
people to be aware of spiritual
I agree.
awakening. It
I
comes in
agree.
different forms,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
And
Yeah, yeah.
many times we may say that that person is mentally ill, but many times it's not that case. That person is going
No.
through a spiritual awakening. It
Exactly.
comes in different
Exactly.
forms. Am I
Exactly. So
correct?
if you go back years and years and years and years, and the amount of people that were um, they were put through asylums and had parts of their brain drilled to
Right.
stop them. Basically, they were just potentially spiritually awakened beings that saw things, but just wasn't dealt with correctly. And when you go about addiction, that's a real it's a real talking point for me. Personally, I've never done drugs. I've never smoked. I've never done anything like that. I've never taken any hallucinogenics to get me to an altered state of consciousness on my journey. Many people do that, and that's for them. That's their journey. But you're totally right. You know, there's some people that feel that there's something different about them, that they go seeking. They go seeking that information. It's the start of their spiritual awakening, if you like, and then they end up being where I'm based at the moment, where I'm staying at the moment, not in the house, but in the location. I won't say exactly where that is to the public that are watching this. There's a lot of individuals that have gone on their journey and have become exactly what you've said. They're trapped. They're trapped because they've gone to find the next part of their phase of their journey, started on the drug situation or the alcohol, and now they're stuck in their own darkness because they don't know how to get out of it. This is another situation.
Yeah,
True.
yeah, and I think that this awareness need to be publicized a little bit more for
Most
people to
definitely.
really understand it and understand themselves when they're going through these moments, you know.
Totally.
And a lot of times when people are going through these moments, a lot of drugs is being given to people, medications and all of that is given to people,
Uh-huh.
instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
seeking the other side to see exactly what's happening with that individual.
But then this is so for me, this is my view. This is my view, and I speak my truth because I'm an awakened man. So, and and my throat chakra is clearly wide open. So I allow to express my truths in a polite way. For me personally, which is why, granted, I have my business, the Bear Eagle, which goes into organizations to help the individuals. So the organizations pay for that. But when I'm out in general Joe public, if for whatever reason somebody comes to me, I will give them my time free of charge as an awakened soul to be able to help them on the next part of their journey.
Yes.
Whether they are awakened or whether they are not on their journey, irrelevant. If they present themselves, if they present, because one of the things, well, we've not touched on that yet, but one of the things that I do is I soul scan people when they come to my space. So I'm able to identify traumas or blockages in their chakra alignments and this, that, and the other. And whether it's through general conversation that you identify certain things that, oh, I can help you with this. As an awakened person that has gone through so many experiences, I freely give that to people to help them so they are not stuck or um, fall into that trap of what you've just mentioned of addiction because they're confused or they're lost on their journey. To be able to hold their hand and take them to the next part of their journey, that's that, my opinion. If you're an awakened soul and you have that about you as unconditional love, like we all say we have, It's no problem to help somebody who is now on a journey but is sleeping rough on the street, to be able to guide them and help them. Yeah. Or somebody
Absolutely.
who's, yeah. That's just compassion. That's what we should have.
Yeah.
This is why
Yeah.
Creator
Yes.
created us with this view of having unconditional love for other mankind. You know, it wasn't to
Yeah.
go to war and be horrible to each other. It was to be
Right.
kind to each other and love each other. Yeah. So
Absolutely right.
I would share my stuff as freely as I can, most definitely.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of times, many people, going back to what I said before, many
Hmm.
people use a substance or something,
Hmm.
and we really need to get to the bottom of why that person is doing what they are doing.
Well, there's a circumstance, isn't it? It's like no different than, for me, I deem the same thing with incarcerated people. So I'm so far into, on top of everything else, I'm so far into a degree in criminology and psychology. And that wasn't for any real reason apart from understanding my upbringing, if you like. It was more about to understand why people do what they do, you know, and there's really a low statistic of people that are incarcerated follow a family trait. It's normally based on circumstance. So you could have had a real good job, you could have just had a job, you could have just been an ordinary Joe, but through circumstance, whether it's separation, whether it's a recession, you've lost your job, whether it's things like COVID, we try not to talk about that too much, but a circumstance leads to people's reactions, and people react in the best way they do when they're in fight or flight mode without knowing. So, are they the people then that really should be deemed as you're a criminal, or should they be? What was the reason behind why you done what you done? And this goes back to going to help mankind again. Yeah. When they say there's too many prisons filled up because of crime and we don't have the money for this, whereas if you work with the people before incarcerating them, you don't have that problem.
Absolutely. Good point.
It's,
Very good
you
point.
know, yeah, well, if you
Very good
work with
point.
them, it could be like the addiction, which is, goes back to that again. It could be the addiction, which they're trying to get their next fix. They could just be on a spiritual awakening journey and got lost on the way. Mm,
Absolutely right, Gareth. Absolutely right. But
yeah,
the thing is that we are not taking the time to really see exactly what's happening with that individual.
exactly. Exactly, exactly,
We
exactly.
just
I
pop a
mean,
pill. We pop a
yeah,
pill to them,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and
exactly.
that's just a quick fix. But that person's gonna go back and do the same thing again because they're
It's pay for it,
they're
pay for it over a crack. Pay for it over a crack.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Wow, this is good.
yeah. This reminds me of that 15-minute conversation you said, and that ended up at hour and 45.
How can we balance our chakras?
Oof. That depends on the individual, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This
Yes,
depends on the individual because many people, whether you're awakened or not, I mean, I've healed people that are spiritual, soul awakened people that walk around with their chakras all shut up and like all unaligned, and they don't even realize. So you have to be really aware of your own being, and we all fall short of it. So for me personally, I do a certain, this is me, everybody's different. I do a certain way through my meditation on a daily basis in the morning. I also, if there's a certain area that I'm struggling with, I carry a crystal related to that very chakra, most definitely through the day. So there's that as well. Um, there, there's so many things. I mean, I don't know how many more questions you got because like 1 hour? Is it this conversation? I
we
mean, I
got
just
time. Don't worry, we got time.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. So there's so I work a lot with crystals, most definitely, and I align that with the chakras. I also do my own self Reiki on myself. as another thing. But is the I mean, do all of your viewers know about chakras? That's another question. Are they all spiritually aligned people that are watching this? I mean, do they know what a chakra is? So is the energy points through the body, through the vessel. And do you want me to just tell them what they are or not? I mean, yeah. So we have the crown on the very top. We have the third eye, which is your pineal gland. We have the throat. We have the heart. We have the solar plexus, which is basically, I don't know if anybody can see here, which is just below the heart area. Then going further down to sort of hip, I won't say the groin area, but is the hip area is your sacral, and then you go to your bottom, which is your root. So they basically align in different in different ways, and they are the energy points through your body. So again, I'm happy to go through this with anybody on a separate thing away from this conversation, because it can be a real fountain of knowledge to go into more depth if they need to, or we can do this again and go into certain things.
You got to do a part 2.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm happy to do that at any point, you know. So we can do going through the chakras and what they mean. I'm happy to do that. I'm also happy to go through meditation techniques. I mean, another time we can do part 3. So I'm happy to do whatever you want. Yeah. So, but I mean, for this conversation is, yeah. So basically, they're energy points through the body, through the soul, and they do connect with different things, different emotions, different feelings. For example, if you find it hard to express yourself, if you find it hard to say your bit, normally because your throat chakra is closed. Your throat chakra is like a blue crystal, so you can look at sodalite, kyanite, lapis lazuli. There's different crystals that work with these sort of, yeah. So we can discuss that another time, and I'm happy to do that for you. Yeah, no problem.
Good. My next question to you: what is the role of the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a lot of depth to that question.
You could touch the surface today.
Yeah, it's a real deep one, because I actually do see myself as a real deep masculine energy, and I do own that space as in my very essence, but I'm also in touch with my feminine side as well. So you can have, it's never really 100% good to be completely all masculine. You're meant to be in touch with your feminine as well, which is in essence why my stroke happened, because I was all driven, all here like a typical Virgo as well. It was all plan, fast, masculine, take control of everything, not like in a controlling way, but just own it, you know, just basically that's the masculine. But I needed a bit more care and delicacy about what I was doing, which is where my stroke came from. So the masculine is that, what I pretty much just said, and the feminine is about the very bit that I wasn't doing, you know, taking your time and being lover and nurturing and all this sort of stuff. But as a masculine, you can still have those traits, but you need to incorporate a bit of the feminine in that in you. I get my words out correctly. Have the feminine in you to be able to identify your emotions as a masculine. In the grand scheme of things, in the modern day matrix, masculine can be a problem. Actually,
Yes.
it can be a problem.
Yes.
Because men don't express themselves. They don't express their emotions because they're meant to be a pillar of strength. This is a problem. This is a massive problem. When you incorporate a little part of the feminine part, where you're able to free your throat chakra and your heart chakra and be able to be emotional and talk about things, say how you feel. That's the feminine element of it. That's allowing you to be a yin and yang, if you like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then the other side of it, the feminine, which is meant to be more the caring and nurturing side, you get a lot of women in the modern day matrix that are living their lives as a masculine, not by
Yeah.
choice. They're living because they have to be the breadwinner for their man who's not working, or they also have to be the mom, the cook, they have to be the cleaner, they have to be all of these things. No, they don't have to be, not at all. But that's how a lot of the feminine actually are protruding to be the masculine because they have no choice but to. But really, they just want the masculine to take over that part of it and allow them to be their feminine. Yeah, as I said, it's a yin and yang balance, you know. So another deep conversation.
Yeah.
But you're just touching the surfaces of these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of depth behind it, and the way we live in a unawakened world, if you like, where it is unawakened, you do find a lot of females presented in a masculine way, not as in like they're men, but they're doing the things that really like going out, doing all the work, and that's fine for women. You can do that as well. But doing the housework, and cooking, and doing everything, organising everything, whereas the man should step up to the mark and actually do that. It doesn't always happen. So it's a deep conversation on a different level. You've got so
Right.
many different categories within your conversation here today,
Right.
Joan.
Thank you.
You're
Should,
welcome.
listening to you explain that, should we use the feminine energy for the healing of the trauma?
Um, I've never really thought of it like that, but
Because the
I
feminine
guess
is kind
they're
of like a more softer side. The more compassionate side is the
true,
feminine side.
true,
So
true, 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 true.
for me, that's how I feel. We should use more of the feminine energy for the
True.
healing.
Yeah, most definitely. So I know there's a lot of masculine and there's a lot of men groups, and I'm actually not long far away from setting up hopefully a global man's connection group for the masculine, but with my understanding of trying to bring the feminine out a little bit so they can be in touch with their feminine and show their emotions in a safe environment where they're all the same. But yeah, I agree. It's that feminine part of any masculine or feminine that would actually allow us to feel the emotions that we need to feel in order to be able to heal. Most definitely. That's my view. That's your view. We
Yeah,
share the same view. We share
yeah,
the same
yeah,
view. I
yeah.
agree. There may
Because
be many masculines that would argue that, but you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's
Because
their
remember
denial
that
of it. Mm.
feminine energy is more compassionate, you know,
Truth. Yeah,
is
yeah.
more
Truth.
loving. So
Yeah.
if you're choosing to heal a part of yourself, you need
Hmm.
you need to start to go with the love, with the compassion. Use that feminine energy so it could help to heal in a loving way.
Exactly. I agree with you. So we're
Yeah,
on the same wavelength. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
as I said, there's probably a lot of awakened masculines that may still need to do that part of their work. And there may also be many feminine who are presenting as masculine that need to do more work on their feminine as well, or to reclaim their feminine as a feminine and have a little bit of masculine rather than all masculine. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you totally, 100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And something just came to mind as you were speaking there, because
Hmm.
many times this is how I feel. Many
Okay.
times when we are struggling to heal that trauma, is
Hmm.
because sometimes we are more kind of more masculine than the feminine.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also so there is that part because the masculine is very well. Let's refer that back. Let me be careful what I say because there's masculine and feminine in spiritual realms, and the masculine is actually quite a powerful thing in its own right, even in the spiritual realms. But from I relate that question back to um, the unawakened man, if you like, the unawakened masculine, where they are suppressive of their emotions completely because it's how they've been programmed through this journey to be strong, to be the pillars of strength. Never show your vulnerabilities, never show your emotions,
Yes.
you know, and that's rubbish. Express yourself. You are a
Absolutely.
you are also a human, whether you're a male or a female. You still have emotions. You shouldn't have
Right.
to suppress that. I know too many men that have committed suicide because of that very thing. And you should be able, especially in this modern day, you should be able to say, I feel really upset and emotional today. Doesn't make you a weaker man for doing that. If anything, it's a good.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's just because of the condition that we had since we were children,
Yeah. Well,
the
even
condition.
before us, I mean, ancestrally, like the lineage has just been the way that we've been programmed
Yes.
to do this. Man's meant to be strong, meant to be strong, meant to be strong. But I do believe, and I like to believe that I'm right in this, that things are starting to change slowly, but not enough. I think it does need to be more of an impact, more
Right.
of a focus on men feeling free and able. So whether it's going to, if you're a man listening to this, get yourself to a group of men to talk about your emotions. Most definitely, get it out there in a space where there's people exactly going through the same as yourself, or reach out to me, Facebook, LinkedIn, whichever it is. Reach out to me. I'm happy for that as well. Just be able to express yourself. Do not suppress it. Do not stop that motion. If you feel uncomfortable in your own surroundings, then take yourself somewhere else to discuss it with somebody that's going through or understands that situation. Most definitely.
Absolutely right, Gareth. That is a very good point you just mentioned there. Because a lot of
Mm,
men are struggling.
truth.
A
Yeah, yeah.
lot of men are struggling out there. They're really struggling with emotions and they hide
Hmm.
it. They hide
Well,
it.
because it's the way we've been taught, and
Yeah.
it's no different. I also see from a female's perspective, with the equality in the workspace, I find that they have their problems,
Yeah.
and that should change as well. There should be,
Yes.
there's a whole lot of change that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Tell us about your book that you're writing.
Ooh, yeah, this is a real deep one. So my book is actually the manuscript is pretty much done. And so following my stroke, it's basically now I've been getting this message for a very long time, Karen, from the divine. You're meant to write this book, meant to write this book. And like going through life is just never convenient. So they created a convenient time and gave me a stroke. So I have more time on my hands than you know. So now I'm kind of in a sabbatical stage, if you like. I'm writing my book, and the book is basically about it is messages within the book, many messages about what we've just touched on through this conversation. Um, and it relates to continual traumas from my age of a 3-year-old up to current date. And the traumas are presented um, and bestowed gifts from the divine, from creator, from universe, however people deem that, given me gifts to be able to help other people, but to help myself first, to be able to help other people and the masses. So it's a story of my life. It's basically called I Am the Road to Me. But the I am is how we, as you already know, when we say I am, is how we connect to the divine. So there is a code in that very essence itself. So when you look at the I am, which is in capital letters, and the me, it's basically I am me, but there's a road to me. So in between that bit. And it's a story of my life with the gifts to be able to help other people on their journey. And in essence, I deem myself as a light bearer. I've gone through many traumas. Many people have. I'm sure my book will make you cry, but also there will also be moments of resonation with it as well in certain elements. You may not have encountered all of them, but you may have encountered some of them. So there's going to be that for people, but there's also going to be the messages within the book so you can heal and understand how to get through those traumas if you're currently going through them at the moment, or you've been through them and stuck in that time zone of, you know, pain is meant to be, the pain is painful, but it's not meant to control your life forever. You're meant to be able to free yourself from the pain. Um, and the book is basically how to do that. And yeah, it's, as I said, I deem myself as a light bearer. I've gone through so many experiences and come through them to be able to hold the light for other people going through their dark journey themselves. Because I understand with love and compassion, I've been there. And I'll explain in a little bit of briefness. So my mother was a prostitute, so we grew up with that environment, which is very hostile. Loads of men. We used to be beaten up daily. I was sexually assaulted by a school teacher when I was 8 years old. I left home at 15. That came with all of those traumas. I've had 2 strokes, 4 head operations. I've nearly died 12 times. There's been there's been a suicide attempt. There's been an awful lot of stuff. But you know what? I see all of these traumas as blessings, because they are blessings to show you what you've gone through to be where you are now, and you've grown and you're stronger. It also shows you things that you're not going to accept in your life to move forward, and you make those changes accordingly. And it also shows you that you are bigger and better than the life that you're given if you're going through those traumas, and to be free of the shackles that you were given. You get 2 choices. You go with what you're given, or you change it, and only you can do that. So that's what the book is about.
Wow, Gareth. Wow.
If you're going to
You
buy
know,
one.
goodness. You know, just listening to you, I hope that the viewers really understand this, that we can take what we go through
Hmm.
and use it to help someone else.
Truth. Yeah,
You know, we
truth.
all go through things in this lifetime, you know, we
We
go
do.
through so much, you know, but look at you. You're using those experiences and put it into a book form
Yeah,
to
but you
help
you you can
so
go
many
through.
people.
True, but you can go through any experience, whether it's a small. Look, everybody's definition of trauma is what's unique to them. No two definitions of trauma are any more
Right.
comparable, right? But it's whether you allow it to define you or refine you, and that's the biggest key message I can take to give to anybody. If you go through a trauma, do not let it define you. Let it refine you, and not the other way around. Refine you,
Absolutely.
not define you. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely right.
Hmm.
Absolutely right. You know, and you really help us today to understand certain things about life and about ourselves, how we could
Thank you.
really change the mind and change our life. I, there is a quote that a phrase that you say. You said, "Beloved, beloved, 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 be true to you, be authentic you."
Yeah, so there is be love, be true, be authentically you. So be love, so be everything that love towards yourself and to other people. Be true to who you are and be authentic in your own right. Then you'll live your life in a freer and be happy in everything that you do. Most definitely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when we be authentic and honest with ourselves,
Hmm.
we open a door, we open a gateway to
True.
really
Yeah, we do.
understand the true meaning of life and to
Exactly.
be able to live with other people in our lives.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, the biggest thing I would say to people is the best form of any healing is love. When you love yourself and you love other people, regardless, never passing judgment, you'll live your life so much happier walking down the street, knowing that everything that you see, you love. The animals, the trees, the people. It's a beautiful blessing, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
You appreciate life.
Exactly, exactly. That's what we're meant to do. There's no
Yes,
point going through life feeling negative and being judgmental of other people. All you're doing is create, well, we get from universe what we put out, right? So whatever we say, we're accountable for our words. whatever we do, we're accountable for our actions. So if you go through life feeling that you love yourself, no one's going to love you more than you love yourself. That's definitely true.
Right.
And once you can love yourself unconditionally, you're then able to love other people unconditionally. And then the world becomes a
Yes.
better place, little by
Absolutely right.
little. Hmm.
Absolutely right. Wow, Gareth, you're good.
we
You
need to
are
schedule
so.
more of these calls. We've got these other things like the meditation and the bloody chakras to sort out, haven't we? So we can do that.
We will be touching on some. I will be, myself and Jomi, going to be bringing you back so we could touch on these
Please,
subject areas, you know.
please do.
And
Yeah,
it's helping people to really understand their lives in depth.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's really, really helping people to really, and you know, I really love the comments from everyone this morning. It is so inspiring.
Are
And
people writing comments as we're talking, are they? I mean,
yeah,
I can't see. I don't know. Okay.
you really gotta go back and read these comments,
Oh,
Gareth.
beautiful. Okay, I
You
love that.
know,
Okay.
looking at these comments, it helps me to understand people are going in depth to really write these comments.
Good, good.
Yeah,
And as I
they're
said,
going in
at
depth.
any point, if they want to reach out to me, please do so.
Yes.
You know.
Feel free to reach out to Gareth. All his social handles is in the comments. Reach out to
Hmm.
Gareth. Have a talk with Gareth. And
Hmm.
he'll explain trauma, chakras, meditation,
Anything.
healing, everything he's going to explain to you.
Yeah, yeah, and also, if any of the people that have written comments are in a work environment that manages people, um, I cover globally, so I'm happy to go anywhere in the world to be able to do what I do for people. So it's working with individuals that may present themselves with well-being concerns, and we address that. It's most important at the moment because people are expressing how they're feeling a lot more.
Yes.
It's good to address that rather than actually releasing them from their job. We can address things like that. So yeah, reach
Absolutely.
out. Hmm.
Absolutely right. Because sometimes you find you are in a work environment and a particular individual, one of your co-workers, may be
Hmm.
behaving in a particular way. But as we said before in the show today, you don't know why that person is behaving the
Exactly.
way they're behaving.
What is there? There's something going on? There may be a circumstance behind why they're going through,
Right.
um,
Absolutely.
or it could be inner child stuff, like childhood traumas that they're having to represent themselves with. They put off doing a mundane job or a small little task in their job, and the longer they put those little tasks off, it becomes more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
Understanding the reason behind why they're not able to motivate themselves, we can work with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
Hmm.
we had viewers from the US, from Australia, from India, from
Yeah,
Sweden,
yeah,
all
yeah. I
over the
go
world.
anywhere. I go anywhere. So most of my business is um, online Zoom calls with, if it's an organization and they need 100 people looked at, I'll go in and do one visit and we'll look at those people in that one visit, and then the rest will be done Zoom calls.
Yeah.
So it
Right.
makes no difference. Time, distance, doesn't matter. It's all
Absolutely.
energy.
Exactly. It's all energy.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Gareth, it's a pleasure sitting and talking with you. Oh my
It's
goodness.
always a pleasure with
You're
you, my love.
good.
It's
You're
always a
good.
pleasure. No, you're good. You're good. I mean, like, this alignment was meant to happen, and
Yes.
I'm happy to continue to do as much as you need me to do to work with you. Just reach out anytime. You've got my details on Facebook and
Yes,
stuff.
Gareth.
So just mhm.
You really helped the audience and myself. And we had audience from all around the world, from Sweden,
Bless you.
Australia, India. People are looking at you.
Beautiful.
Yes, they're
Greetings,
looking at you,
everybody.
Gareth.
Greetings,
Yes.
greetings, greetings.
And you really
Thank you.
help us to really understand certain things about life and how we should really treat our traumas and look at our traumas and use our traumas to help someone else.
Of course. Yeah.
You know,
It's
and thank you
important.
for
It's most
doing that.
important. No, no, it's a
Thank you for
pleasure.
sharing
It's a
your
pleasure.
story.
It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure. And
Yeah.
hopefully the message helps however many people that are watching this or listening to this. I hope they take something from that maybe aids their day to day or their journey moving forward. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for having me on the show. Real pleasure.
Thank you too. Thank you for saying yes to the invitation and coming on the show this morning and helping us. And you give
It's a
us
pleasure.
so many tools. So many tools was given this morning to help, because a lot of people are going through trauma. A lot of people are going through trauma.
They are. Yeah,
And
they
some are
are.
going through trauma and they don't even know it's a trauma they're going through.
No, exactly. Totally.
So I
Totally.
hope that this show was an eye opener to help someone who is questioning themselves why they're behaving the way they're behaving and how they're getting these triggers. That this show
Exactly.
could able to help you to really understand exactly what's happening within your
Hmm.
life
Exactly.
and how to really get along with someone else. How to really look at someone else if that person is triggering you.
There's another little phrase that I always quote, which is quite relevant to this very ending of your call, and is one that I've been sharing with people for many years, and it's this: a small act of kindness can leave ripples of healing, right? Regardless, it can just be hello in the street. You don't know what that person's going through, you know.
Love it. So true, Gareth. So true.
Maybe my next book will be phrases, one line
Who knows?
phrases of
You said
inspiration.
it. You said it.
Maybe I've just talked myself
Said it.
into that one.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
bless you.
it's amazing how we could sit in a space and we could
Hmm.
share, and the sharing is to able to help so many other people, and it's such a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing.
What do they
Thank
say?
you so much.
Sharon is Karen, right? Sharon is Karen. And as I said,
Absolutely,
it's a
absolutely,
pleasure. It's a pleasure, Karen. It's a
absolutely.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, Garrett, for taking that time and
No, you're
sitting with us
welcome.
today. And with the audience, thank you so much for tuning in today.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
really
everybody.
love
Thank
these
you.
comments. The comments was amazing. Garrett, you
And
got
where
to
do I
go back
read
and
them?
read those
Where do I
comments.
read them? Where do I read them? Is it on YouTube or something?
Yes, no, I will send you
Okay.
the Facebook link so you could go under there and you're gonna see
Okay,
all the
cool.
comments there.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes, and you could
Perfect.
reply to
Perfect.
them. Yes.
Oh yeah, I
Thank
will
you
do.
guys
Yeah,
so
most
much.
definitely.
Yes, thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit with us today and
Yeah, thank
spending
you.
this hour and 17 minutes with us and to help to make this show a success.
Yeah,
Thank you.
perfect.
And please
Thank you,
feel
everybody.
free
Thank you.
to subscribe to Soul Light and Body YouTube channel so you will never miss none of these episodes. Subscribe so you could never miss an episode. Thank you guys so much and love you all. Love you all. Thank you so much, Garrett. Thank you, Tom, for
Lots
being
of love.
behind the
Lots of love.
scenes and
Thank you,
helping
Tom.
us so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a
thank you.
wonderful week.